Hey, it's Matthew David, the Minister of Allowing. So let me tell you a story quick. It's about this. This is the Beethoven Brain CBD. So what makes this unique is, first of all, well, my friend gave me a call and he wanted me to, get into the CBD. And he said, you like it. You've been using CBD. And I'm like, yeah, I've been using it. And I was using a different blend. And he said, well, here's what's different. Okay, now my friend's a genius. He's in his 20s. He built a company that was the fastest growing company in the industry that he was in, sold it for $50 million this year. He's sunk almost $1 million into this manufacturing for the CBD. And he said, listen, the reason why ours is different is that our blend uses physics to extract a full 100% of the plant. So it doesn't use any chemicals. It doesn't use anything abrasive or anything that would cause any impurities in the blend. It extracts the full amount, the full 100% of the plant. And so that is important to me. And we got 5,000 milligrams. So we're going all in on this. I am of the pure mind of God. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my finances, my relationships, and my world. I qualify everything in my world with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I accept only God's perfection, His good, in my outer circumstances. I know in my heart that God is all in all. I am absolutely not concerned about what happens, because I know wonderful things are happening now. Hello.
Hi.
We're back again.
Walking and talking with Matthew and Sabrina.
Episode 3. What's going to be different about this one before we go? Why should they watch this one? What's going to change this time? What are they going to get out of this? What's our promise if you stick around?
Probably backflips at the end.
From her, not
cartwheels and backflips.
From her.
Maybe someone will catch a salmon today on video.
Okay.
What's going to be different? You know what's going to be different is there's not going to be one mention of anything controversial on the outside world that has been brought up probably in every other video. And I'm not names that shall not be spoken.
I don't know what she's talking about. I don't even know what that is. I don't even have. That's not even in my reality.
See? Okay, good.
I only know this perfect day and the day that knows no night. Hey, look at this. Just take a look at this. You see what we do?
Look at those clouds. My mom used to call them Simpsons clouds.
Oh, did you see the Simpsons clouds? Yes, you can see them. See? We're living in a cartoon.
And I am a cartoon character. Oh
She's always been a cartoon character.
So when I back when I was in my, early 20s or whatever, when I was
like last week
dating guys, yeah.
You were dating guys last week?
One of my prerequisites, if a guy started talking to me, was I would bring up the Simpsons early on in conversation and see what the response was to it. And if they were like, oh, whatever, that's stupid, then I would just end the conversation there, because I loved the Simpsons because it was so deep. I mean, I'm like, people aren't catching on, but they're talking about more than just some cartoon silliness. Like they're
predictive programming.
Yeah, they're shedding some light on some stuff more than just whatever. And so, anyways.
Yeah. Well, that's true. All right. So it's beautiful out today. I don't know where it is, like where you guys are at, but what is it, about 70s? 70s here? It's gorgeous.
Maybe in the sun. Maybe just light 70s. Hi.
So I'll say this. One of our ministry partners, Brandy, what's her, Wolata?
Mm-hmm.
Brandy. Yeah, she does something now with emotion clearing, and she did a session yesterday for me, and it was really, really good. It's really powerful stuff. So I want to throw a little plug in. If you guys want to do a little bit of emotion clearing work, which I highly recommend, you can find her in the group at our ministry. Just go to hurtado.io And she's Brandy. You can just Brandolyn, you can look her up. Anyway, I think that was great because the whole idea here, and I'm gonna throw another plug in, not related to anybody specific, but if you guys want to hear about a man who was one of the most incredible thinkers of his time, I've been reading all of his work lately and studying it, and he was self-educated, never went to college, but he broke the algorithms and all of the codes for how light works and how the universe works. His name is Walter Russell. Walter Russell. You can get his books, his audios, and he will break it down to you how it's all electricity.
Well, isn't that what you learn in like biology when you learn about the cell and how everything is just moving electrons and protons?
You do, but you don't.
And that's electricity.
You don't learn the true science of what electricity and light is in school. Mm-hmm. They teach you these false narratives, these fake stories, but your body, everything. And I've known this, I taught this at the workshops about parallel and series circuitry. And I figured this out with parallel universes, that series circuits are how you're taught to think. You're taught to think in a linear time from point A to point B. And
masculine.
A series circuit goes from start to finish, and what happens is you put a resistor in there, okay? And a resistor means you're thinking, you're resisting the flow, okay? You're thinking. So thinking, he talks about this, sets off these two forces, these diametrically opposed, equal opposite forces. Diabolical. For the most part. For the most part, thinking is diabolical for most people because it sabotages.
Anybody who has kids and has watched the Lego movie on repeat. Sorry, go on.
Well, anyway, the study continues, and that's what I love about pursuing God is that, see, he built a framework where you can bypass all religions and you can understand the true thumbprint of God by understanding the ways of nature. And I want you guys to look into it if you're deep thinkers, or even if you're not. I think you'll find it mind-blowing at how intelligent this man was, and he talks about this. Intelligence and knowledge are two separate things. So you go to school, you get all educated from out there, it's all reasoning from the five senses, and he says you go inward instead because you're from one mind. And so if you go inward, you know all things. It's a huge idea.
You just blew my mind.
I hope so. So, it's that song. It's you're beautiful when you don't talk, the kind of girl that I might stalk, but you open your mouth and you break the spell. Talking doesn't do you well.
Oopsies.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that'd be me.
That's not her though.
Yeah.
She actually is better when she talks.
Hold on, I got that on recording.
Yeah.
I'm going to reference this at what minute mark? Matthew, remember that
minute
video?
6 minutes and 5 seconds, okay?
6 minutes, 5 seconds. Let's go a couple seconds ahead of that.
Yeah.
Listen. Now,
one of the biggest breakthroughs, okay, this is going to come back. Sabrina's been saying this all along in her way of saying it, and he says the same thing. So you can get all into this science and you can get so deep into it, and I like that. I like to figure out how every god dang thing works out.
You just said god dang.
God dang thing, right?
Oh, darn it.
I didn't swear, I said god dang.
All right.
God dang, Blake.
Ding dang diddly.
No, but anyway, he says here, he says, you behold only beauty with your vision. And he says that which is not beautiful, you don't even pay attention to it. And that's the scripture in Philippians.
That's why I'm in the video. I'm just bringing a little beauty.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Beauty. No, I'm just
you're
kidding.
so funny.
Anyway.
No, but that's what I bring up in my morning prayers is just, like all outside circumstances aside, make sure that you're basking in the beauty of the day or the beauty of, whatever's presenting itself to you.
Well, yes. And that's the key is that even if, the sky was falling, now here's the idea that I hold on to. I don't partake in the rituals of the counter programming that I want to have. I don't partake in the dark magics. So if they say you must do this, I say no thank you. What I do is I behold the light that is unfailing in all situations in my imagination, which is the living Christ, and then I walk from that place
So what do you mean?
So, for instance, we said we're not going to talk about that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we're not going to get into we're not going to get into
So
that.
that's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, even if it goes a step further, if they say, you have to put something in your arm because we say so.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Okay. Well, just real quick.
Okay.
It's not the thing over the face. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I will say, that's nice and all, but no, thank you. And I will walk in the perfect day right through that storm, right through it. I'll walk right through it.
While we're right here, let's show them what we can't walk through. Show them this.
Ooh, this is wild.
So this is a walkway. It's supposed to go under the bridge. So we're walking to a bridge, but check out.
You see that?
It's a walkway and it's all underwater because the river is so high. The water is so high.
Yeah, it's gone up
it's
several feet.
Completely submerged in water, but perfect timing of what he said.
Yeah, you know what's great about her and I'm going to tell you this. This is where I remember when we first started dating, and I used to work at this health club, and fitness has always been a way of life. Well, this is a woman who goes out for gymnastics in college and nails it, and can work out never, and then go back to working out and do the splits all different directions. There's something genetically she's a mutant, yes. So
there's some, I'm gonna just jump in there.
Yeah.
So Matthew started doing called M100s. So it's a sprint. You do it in like 3 minutes, and it's 100 exercises, right? So it's 3 different exercises.
Hold on.
You do it 100 times.
Just look up Mike Chang M100s. That's all you got to know. Okay.
So it's a quick workout, and he was doing them, and he says, "Here, Brainy, do them with me, and let's have a contest or whatever." And he'd been doing this workout for a couple weeks or so, and he was talking about how hard it was, and he'd be all out of breath and like dying.
It was hard the first couple weeks.
And this man works out. There's not a day that goes by he doesn't work out. And like he's saying, I just don't work out. But so I said, okay, I'll do this M100 with you. And I did it and got done. And he was like, holy crap, you almost beat my time. And how aren't you dead? And how did you do this? And I'm like, I don't know. I just, did it and tried to do. I just kept thinking to, yeah. I'm not the body. I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. Just do it. Go. Like.
It's not easy. It's not easy being.
You gotta look it up. Look up M100 and just crank it out.
Yeah.
And try and do it, but you do it in a sprint as fast as you can, no pause.
It's not easy being married to a Jedi master. So anyway, I'm at the health club in.
That's the lesson for him.
This guy that
humility.
This guy that works out with me, and he knows that I go pretty hard. And this is when I was a lot younger too. And he goes, who is that girl on the track? Well, he didn't know that was Sabrina at the time we were dating. And I go, well, that's my girlfriend. He goes, man, she will dust you. And I'm like, yeah, that's been the story.
Because when we met, he was working at this health club, but I had a membership to a different health club. Hold on. That closed down. Anyways, so then I got a membership to his, and so that was one way we would kind of like, as part of our dating, was working out together.
Show him your guns. I don't think anybody's ever seen your guns.
Yeah.
Those are like 24 inches right there. Just look at those. Just kidding. They're not 24 inches, but they're freaking amazing. She doesn't even work out. That's the thing. She doesn't work out. You guys have to understand. She doesn't do anything. And you look at these legs.
You can't see it. The thing is in the way. Well,
okay,
whatever.
keep walking.
Anyway, you're a goofball.
Anyway, she looks like she's about ready to play linebacker or something, like in a women's league. And
well, I don't stop moving. That's the one thing, is if we're going to go anywhere, I'll be walking there.
Yep.
And if we're going to bring anything, I'll be carrying it. So although I don't work out in a regular gym.
Hey, let's talk about that.
I hold.
Because they have this thing, they call it, like a food fetish. Oh. And I've always loved to watch her eat because she can pack it down like I can pack it down, and she's half the size. But here's the deal though, is she's never not had a six-pack ever since I've known her, except for when she's pregnant. But tell me this, how do you do it? Okay, now let's remove the idea of genetics, because it's not true. There's something that you do mentally and psychologically that you can teach people? How do you stay this fit all the time without doing much about it?
Well, I do hold my composure. So I'm aware of how I'm holding my body. So, for instance, if I'm sitting in a chair at the computer, I make sure that I'm sitting with proper form and I'm using my muscles to hold my body. And if I'm holding Fiona and she drops a toy on the ground, I kind of treat it like a deep squat. So I guess in essence the simplest thing would be to feel your muscles, because if you can't feel your muscles, you're not using them.
So you're saying put your awareness on them?
Yeah, put your awareness, feel them. That's something I used to, with the health products, I'd have some people call in looking to take their health back and saying that they're maybe they're immobile, like they're obese to where they were recovering and they'd become obese and they couldn't physically work out. They just physically couldn't do it. And I just encouraged them to feel their muscles and start feeling them throughout the day. And I learned a technique from my dad. And he said, "Hey, Brini, you want to know how to have a six-pack and never do a sit-up?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, Dad. What do you do?" He said, "You always hold your stomach like someone's just about to punch you in the gut. So if you just hold your stomach, and it sounds overwhelming, but once you start doing it and then you recognize it's a choice whether you let your gut hang out or if you hold it in and utilize your muscles. And then slowly but surely you'll have no fat there because the muscles have been built up to the extent where, you're always working, your body's always..."
Well, think about that. Since you don't have a body, what you're doing is you're putting your knowledge into action where you're focusing. What are you really focusing on? A six-pack. Constantly focusing on tight stomach, tight stomach, tight stomach. And so what you're doing is you're creating the body with your thought.
If that's the change you need to make. Okay? So I just want to clarify that I don't think about anything anymore. I don't think about...
That's because you've already done it.
Yeah, I don't think about anything, but when asked how do you do it, I guess that would be how I do it, is I just hold my body and I feel and I use my muscles. I feel them and I use them.
Yep.
All throughout the day. So if I'm going to reach up and get a glass on the kitchen counter, I might actually end up doing some sort of an arm press to get up on the counter. You know what I mean? Well, I'm like 5 foot, so everything's really tall for me. So, I don't know.
Yeah. So, okay. So, let's build on that. So I'll tell you when I used to, when I met her, I used to dance. I used to do that thing. I told you guys about that, right? And then I quit because that was the old life. But I always had to have picture perfect abs, always, because I had to every weekend. Like that's how I made my money. So I had to, but I ate whatever I wanted. And so how do you do that? Well, I never lost my focus ever of what I wanted this body to look like. And focus derives everything downward from there, drives your action. So I would always act according to my identity. So we get into identity. It's your identity. And now I'll build on it even further. When I had Lyme disease, apparently, and I was really weak, and I got really skinny to the point where people would look at me and say, "Wow, you're really sick." I had one guy, my friend Mike, cried when he saw me because he used to know me working out, and he saw me and he's like, "Are you dying?" And he was like, had tear in his eye, and I'm like,
yeah, kinda.
I hope not. But he's like, "You're so skinny. What happened?" I lost 50 pounds. So then I started saying, "I'm fleshing out. I'm fleshing out. I'm fleshing out." And what happened was my body literally put on 38 pounds in about 6 months, and I fleshed right out. Now, Mary Baker Eddy talks about that with people that had literally had cancer or something, and they got so weak and frail. They started using that same power and they would be perfectly restored. All their body weight would come right back. Now you can do that the other way. If you want to lose body weight, every day in every way I'm getting thinner and leaner and sexier, whatever you want to say, just say it. Every day I'm getting thinner and thinner now. Every day in every way I'm getting thinner and thinner now.
Yeah, it's just being strong. That's the one I like. Being strong.
Strong, yeah.
I set that as my core operating mantra when I was growing up in school. I was always the shortest, in the class, almost in the school. They built a new school, and they used me to measure how short they should put this climbing thing on the wall in the gym. Okay, so I knew I was never going to be taller than anybody. I knew I was always going to be the shortest. So I made a decision that although I couldn't be tall, I could be strong. So I decided when I was younger that I was going to get as strong as I could, because I got picked on a lot also growing up. So I knew that if I was strong, I wouldn't be afraid of anything anybody was saying.
Now she picks on me all the time.
No, I do not.
She takes it back out on it.
Maybe I should.
Yeah.
No, I do not. You know I don't. But you were talking about food, and I know some people struggle with rules with food, counting.
Oh, by the way,
calories.
Put a plug in. You should join our food group on Facebook. It's
yeah.
omad.me. omad.me will take you right to our OMAD food group. That's 1 meal a day.
So let me tell you the story about this. So just like the M100s, one day Matthew was saying, I'm doing this intermittent fasting. I'm like, oh, what's that? He's like, so you only eat 8 hours of the day, or something. Like, there's a window, a 6-hour window. You choose a window and then you fast the rest of the window. He's like, so I only eat from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night, or something like that. And then from 9 on, I don't eat until the next day at that time. And I thought about it and I said, oh, I do that. He says, what? I'm like, well, once I have dinner at the end of the night, I'm done. I don't eat again until the next day when I'm hungry, but I don't eat in the morning. I wait as long as I can in the day, because if I eat in the morning, then I'm sluggish and I'm slow and I'm like mentally not as acute as I could be if I'm fasted. And I never put words to it, but when he described it, and then he said, hey, I'm gonna do this thing, it's called 1 meal a day. And I'm like, now that you mention it, I think that's kind of what I do, because although once I do eat, it's only within this window you're describing, but really I only kind of have one big meal, and I eat all this food that he gets mesmerized by, of like, holy crap, you ate more than I did. And when the kids don't finish their meals, they hand them over to me and I just clean off their plates. His mom is blown away at me. I'm her favorite when I come around, because when there's food, she's like, oh good, Sabrina's here. Here, Sabrina, eat this. She just always gives me food. These guys, they just love watching me eat, whatever. I'm not crazy or anything, I just eat it. But anyways, and that's where the 1 meal a day, well, he started that group, but I'm like, hey, I kind of do that too, where I don't really eat, but when I do, it's just one big meal and then I'm done. And then I don't eat till the next day.
And we just broke 40,000 members in the group, so it's great.
Organically, there wasn't any.
We don't pay for advertising, it's all just natural growth. And people, okay, so here's the reason why I think you should look into it, because I treat it as a spiritual practice. Because the idea here is that it says in the ancient Gnostic Gospels, I forget which one, but I made a video on it. If you eat more than twice a day, you suffer from gluttony. It's a sin. So, but what's great about it is I don't eat till dinner either. And when I do eat, I can pack down like 4,000 calories in a day, as long as I stay moderately fit and active, working out and such. And I get bigger and smaller at the same time. So my arms are like 18.5 inches. My waist is still 31 inches. And it's the most amazing thing, because it regulates all of your hormonal balance. And here's a big secret for people that might not know it, is that calories can be important in the weight process, but hormones are the most important.
So how about this, real quick? 2 things. One, speaking of hormones, something more important, or that regulates and helps keep your hormones in balance, is your minerals. So a little plug on that.
Without minerals, your hormones cannot function properly.
So
we have kits. Where do they get those kits at?
Go to monotomia.com.
Spell it.
MONATOMIA.com. It'll educate you more on that product, but on that product kit. It's 3 products. But anyways, if you have more questions about that, on how to use it or whatever, I'm more than happy to help you. But the second thing was, when you're talking about the fasting, so one thing that is really cool to do is to think back before we had the convenience of a grocery store or even the ability to grow things, right? Like think back, right? We were like foraging and hunting, and it was like feast or famine, you know, like you'd get a deer, just throwing some ideas out, right? Say we hit, you know, you got a bow and arrow and you killed a deer, and that might be the deer that your family has to eat on for a week until you get to eat again. So when you think about it that way, just because we have the luxury and the convenience of going to a grocery store and getting food and eating all the time doesn't mean that's how our body works optimally, because even when we...
Check that out. Can you see those guys up there? It's pretty awesome. They're pretty high up there. They're working on that roof. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
So anyways, just about how, you know, just reiterating what you're saying of how you're saying you do it as a spiritual practice of honoring, and I'm just adding in how like biologically.
Well, let me break that.
History,
let me break that all biologically down.
We don't need to eat all the time, and when we first came as humans, we probably just ate once, and that was it, you know.
So here's the deal. If you guys want to optimize, you can raise this is according to Dr. Axe, okay? You can raise your testosterone naturally by up to 400% simply by doing intermittent fasting. I suggest you do OMAD like I do, which is a 2 meal a day, okay, which is scientifically been proven to be the most effective in a 4-hour window. So the way it works, sorry about the wind, by the way, it's getting pretty intense, is you break the fast with something light, like a little something that just gives your blood sugar a little bit of a boost.
So like an apple or...
Light, just a light, yes.
Yeah, like a protein bar or...
And then you wait about an hour or so, and then you go ahead and have a big meal, and then you have another one. And it's so simple because your meal, you don't have to skirt around and say, oh, you know, I better eat small today. No. You just go all in. Whoa, we're going to go back.
So
that got a little intense. Now let me keep going. Keep going.
Okay.
So I know she gets excited, okay? She's like a freaking energy bunny that just wants to go and go. So what you got to do is you got to make sure you're mineralized, because if you don't have adequate minerals, it doesn't matter what you do. You won't have, remember, minerals are the currency of life according to Dr. Joel Wallach. Now look at currency, bioelectric, all of this stuff. So minerals first, get that stuff straight, and then optimize hormones on top of it. And what you'll find is you can train, I train like a pro athlete, okay? I'm 43 years old, and I don't mean...
Shut up. I thought you were 34.
Hey, my daughter says I look like I'm in my 20s. Of course, she's lying to me, but I love it when she lies to me like that because she makes me feel better. But what I'm saying is, though, I really, like today, I went out and did sprints this morning, and I'll work out again, maybe, or I'll wait till tomorrow.
He doesn't just do sprints on the straight ground. He does sprints up a steep
I do hills, and I wear a weight vest, 25-pound weight vest.
25-pound weight vest.
And I go full on, and I do it hard on, like it just boom. But you got to have minerals, because if I don't do it without minerals, I'm not going to recover. And
so this is how I do what he said that he does. While I'm making dinner, I chop up a few pieces of cheese, and I nibble on the cheese while I'm making my dinner.
Yeah.
Then I eat the dinner.
Ease your way into it.
Which will take me about half an hour to about an hour to make the dinner. And then I eat my meal. And then shortly within that same, actually, it wouldn't be 2 meals, it'd be just whatever Fiona doesn't eat. I'm like, fine, hand it over and I'll put it on my plate. So I don't eat 2 meals, I'll just eat one big old meal, and then I'll wait. If I'm gonna have dessert, then I'll wait about an hour, and then I'll have dessert. So the dessert would be my second meal.
Yep, and then you can get away with that. See, the other day, we snuck in a little ice cream trip without the kids because it was better that way without them.
It was at like 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, I'm not gonna be able to make dinner. I couldn't eat that rest of that night. I think I had a little piece of cheese maybe later. This is a Wisconsin girl.
Well, we get in everything we crave, and we stay fit all year round. And it's not like you have to.
I don't think we should go right here. It's okay.
It's okay.
Come on. I'm sorry.
We got some kite going on here. It's good wind though.
Okay. I was wondering if we should have walked around. But
so I'm talking primarily to you guys out there, because
we just got taken out by a kite.
Here's what else they discovered is that I want you to look up this research for yourself, because I don't want to tell you nothing, but infidelity, broken households, You see, there's a lot of that going on, right? Broken households, people that go from one to the next because they have been studies done shows that that's lowered testosterone. You know, the average testosterone of a 30-year-old today is the equivalent of what like a 60 to an 80-year-old was years and years ago. So what do you think could benefit more than optimizing your hormones naturally? Because once you get on that testosterone stuff, I don't take any of that stuff. They've wanted me 2 years ago, but then I figured out how to fast. But the thing is if you get on that stuff, you have to stay on that stuff. And it's not cheap, and it also makes you a slave to have to keep using it. But what I want to tell you is when you get your hormones right, hormones have consciousness. Okay? Hormones have consciousness. So if your hormones are all messed up, well, what you have is the outcome of that is the destruction of a natural phenomenon, which is the family unit. Think about it.
Okay.
It's important, guys. We need more men. Okay?
With testosterone.
With testosterone.
Yeah.
And not doping, but legitimate.
Holy buckets.
Sorry, it's really bad, guys. I don't know if this is going to work, but
Woo!
I'm trying to cover the mic. It's like a tornado out here.
Guys, just living by the lake.
Yeah.
Living by a lake. It's not just any lake, it's like a sea.
Hold on.
Woo.
Are you feeling embarrassed and stuck because you can't focus or concentrate? I have a confession to make. I spent years unable to think clearly, like I was in a fog. I was going through the motions, running my companies, and I hated feeling groggy and mentally sluggish. I couldn't get ahead like this. It's no secret, the powers that be want us dumbed down. Chemicals, fluoride, our brains are under siege, and we are experiencing lower IQs. But now there's a weapon to fight back and win. Introducing DNA Evolve, a revolutionary breakthrough in a category of cognitive enhancers called nootropics. I've been using DNA Evolve and couldn't feel better. For me, it works. It feels great to get things done again and get ahead. Try a free sample for yourself at DNAEvolveSample.com. That's DNAEvolveSample.com. Supplies are limited, so go to DNAEvolveSample.com right now.
Okay, we're back. It's less windy, so we had to take a little break, and Sabrina subdued the wind single-handedly. She wrestled it for about 2 minutes, made it submit, and now we're back to clear, perfect day again.
So I want to tell you this little story that I thought of, and again, this is way before Matthew, but anyways, I was
There was a before me?
not much.
I didn't know you existed before me. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Anyways, I'm not even gonna joke about anything. So I had driving in a car with this old boyfriend, and his car stalled. It would be one of those cars where you're driving and then it'll just, like, you could be going 65 and then the engine just would die. It wasn't like a clunker or anything. There was just obviously something wrong with it. And so we're on the interstate or the highway where all of these other roads are all merging together, and we died right in the middle of where it was a blind corner where semis were coming, and we were in the middle of the interstate, really. There was no way to get off. We weren't on a shoulder. We were right in the middle, where when vehicles came by, the whole vehicle shook, and like they didn't see us, so they were coming inches from the car. It could have been terrifying. So he goes out there and he starts clanking around on it, and I was in the car just feeling like, okay, this is kind of scary. And then I'm like, wait, we're okay, it'll start. And I just kept saying, it's okay, it'll start. And then he kept having me try it, and it wasn't starting. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna pray. So I kept saying, Heavenly Father, or whatever I said, Jesus Christ, when he tells me to start it, make it start. So I just kept repeating that. Next time he has me start it, make it start. Next time he has me start it, make it start. I kept repeating, and he says, start it. And I started it. I'm not even kidding. As soon as I started praying, it started.
Look at that. Look at the baby yacht. My son loves this because he likes to sail. He wants to get a little baby yacht like that. Anyway,
So anyways,
little segue.
and then he got in the car, shut the door, and it died again. And And I said, oh, okay, God, I wasn't very specific. I said, just start it. I didn't say start it and keep it running. So then he went back out to the truck car, starts banging around, and I go back, and I'm in the car and I'm praying. Mind you, the whole time there's semis coming from each side and the car is shaking, and there are times when I thought he was gonna get hit and I thought we were gonna get hit. It could have been terrifying, but I was sitting in the car just praying, saying, all right, God, next time he has me start it, keep it started. Like, let it start and keep it started. Let it start, keep it started. I just was repeating over and over. And then he said, okay, start it. And I'm not kidding. As soon as it started, it turned over, he jumped in, got in the car, and we drove away. And as we're driving away, he said, why aren't you like crying or freaking out? Like any other girlfriend I've had in the past would have been crazy and going psycho right now. And I said to him, oh, I don't know, I was just praying. And he looked at me like I was crazy. But anyways, I just wanted to share that little story because there were two options I had in that moment. And I could have been terrified and been picturing how we were going to get hit and how we'd have to get towed and that the car was never going to start and we'd probably lose our life. Like, I could have been thinking that because that was an option. But instead I chose that it would start and we'd drive away and I would just ask for help. So anyways.
Power of choice.
I was just a college kid. Just praying. I think he was like, whatever. That was the story. I remembered a time when I just, saturating a situation with the patience and the peace and the confidence of having God in prayer on your side. And it's the feeling space. So.
Yep.
Your turn.
Well, similar story. So it was 2000. It was the year 2000. Now this is a really interesting phenomenon. I was driving down
20 years ago?
Yeah. I was driving down a highway and I had this white, Chevy Malibu. It was like a 1998. And
how could you drive at the age of 8?
Yeah, exactly. I was driving at the age of 8. So anyway, dust was coming on the side. They were grading the side of the road, okay? So it was all fog. You couldn't see anything. So I was like, oh great, I can't see anything. I'm on a highway. It's a one-lane highway. So I dropped my speed from about 70 down to the real speed limit, about 55. And the next thing I know, the whole world stops because there it is right in front of me. The back of a truck is sitting right there, stopped, parked, dead stop on the highway. So what I see happen, and this is amazing, is that the whole car crushed around me and I saw time stop and my car looked like a tin can if you step on it. And I sat there in shock, like, am I dead? Is this it? I'm still here. And then, it took a while, but then the sirens came because I was just sitting in the car, like, in shock. And the guy didn't get out of his truck. He stayed in the truck. And the cops and the fire department came and they go, is he okay? And I'm like, I'm good. And they take me out and they're like, oh my God, it's a miracle. That seatbelt saved your life. I didn't even wear the seatbelt. I put it on when they came because I didn't want to get a ticket. But what happened was I just witnessed an anomaly where I saw right through the reality of the fake outer world because I should have been dead. The whole car collapsed. And that's happened so many times, from the drowning incident to my mom holding on to me when I was young, going through the windshield.
He just shared with me a story last week.
There was another one, yeah.
A couple weeks ago when he was on, 100-foot high in Mexico.
Yeah, my grandfather took me to Mexico, and they have Olympic diving centers. They have a 50 and 100-foot cliff, that you go up. You got to climb the ladder and you go off, and it's a diving center.
And it's scary.
So I did the 50-foot one, and it was traumatizing enough. And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to go up to the top of the 100-foot one, and I just want to see what it looks like. Well, lo and behold, someone pushed me off the top of the 100 one.
Picture that.
So,
you're a kid at the top, you're terrified, and somebody pushes you off. Like, how traumatizing is that?
It's, the experience people must have had that have had to jump out of buildings to their own death, etc. Like, I felt that experience for about 2 seconds or so until I hit the water. And fortunately, I hit the water straight, so it was okay. But I remember going down, from that high up, you go way down in that water. So, and whew, that was scary.
I have to share with you a funny. So there have been times I'm gonna rat you out. When you've been like, when there's been intense outside world things occurring, and he's like, you know, saying things along the lines of it, something killing him, or you know, that's gonna kill him or something like that, right? Or and I said, you can't even try to die. Like, you've had so many near-death experiences, and you're only in your 40s. Like,
I've had at least 5 of them that
so
I
it's
should.
like, you just go ahead and try to die. Like, I think you're supposed to be here is what I'm getting at. Like,
it's the little things you got to watch out for.
You have
The
more
paper
purpose
cuts.
here. It's
Yeah.
the paper cuts.
Yeah, it's not the big ones, you know. If you fall out of a plane at 30,000 feet, I'd probably survive. But if it's, you know, like a little bump in a parking lot, it probably.
Like Lyme disease.
Yeah.
You have Lyme disease.
Lyme disease, I got through that one.
But he sprains his ankle and he's like, oh.
Yeah, today what is it? What is the name of this muscle right here?
Sciatica.
Oh yeah, the body is lying to me. It says it has sciatica pain. I know there's no intelligence in matter, but I'll tell you what, the sciatica pain is a real pain in the butt. Like, literally, it is the pain in the butt.
Maybe it's because you're a pain in the butt.
It's because I'm such an awesome person, and I just can't do it. I just can't hang out with that awesome so much.
So much awesomeness.
Yeah.
All right,
So anyway, we got some stories.
We were talking about food and eating before we took a break because of the wind. I wonder if we
Ooh,
should
yeah, we
just
can't
keep going that way.
We got to go back out.
Yeah.
They got the pier closed off.
Because the water's so high, it's all drowning.
Okay, come.
You just pulled
All right. So,
whipped around.
what do you want to share about food?
Well, that's what we were talking about before we got sidetracked with the wind. And testosterone, you were talking about.
Well, it's
hormones.
yeah. So it's so important because I'm going to tell you something that if you don't know this to be true, you should figure it out. And if you do know, then you'll know exactly what I'm saying. But the real wealth that you have in this world is optimized health, because everything comes from within. You can make money and lose money in a New York minute. I mean, I've seen lumps and lumps and piles come and go. Like, that's okay. That's one thing. But your real wealth is your ability to be vital in every moment, because
maintain the peace.
Without that, you can't hold the peace, because the body will distract you if you don't have that perfection coming through you.
Do you know, I think I've shared this in other videos, but it's one of my favorites because he's talking about health is wealth. And when he first started having symptoms of Lyme and he was misdiagnosed, and he'd say to me, because I was trying to wrap my head around it, but also I'm more of a tough love. I came up with tough love of, when I was growing up, you weren't allowed to be sick. You weren't allowed to have pain. You weren't allowed to give it power, right? So we, if we didn't feel good, it was like, anyways, you weren't allowed to. Like, I never missed school because I wasn't allowed to be sick, so I was never sick. But, so when Matthew was sick, and he'd say to me, what would you do if you felt like you were gonna die?
Well, okay, pause right there. Okay, just pause. I gotta backtrack just for a second. I had the same upbringing. I used to have to go to hockey when I was sick. But just for those of you that don't know, Lyme disease is just the next level of sick. So you go ahead. It's it's that extreme. Yeah.
I'm not talking down or disregarding anything you're experiencing, but I was truly trying to be compassionate and have empathy to really understand what it was you're experiencing, because as I looked at you, I'd say, you'll be okay. Like, you're gonna get through this. And when I went truly into that feeling space, which was if I really felt like I was dying, and I'd said to him, and he hated me when I said this, and I know I've shared it before, but it's one of my favorite things. So I'd said to him, I would be so grateful that I was alive, and I was so grateful for the pain, because God would only give me what I needed to grow in order to get to the other side. So like a pendulum, I could only be so sick that I was on the verge of death if I had the greatest on the other side, like the best health, the most wealth, the happiest life on the other side of what I was experiencing.
Yeah. You know, the power of a right thought, I'll share with that, is that something came along to me, and I've never seen anybody else ever share this quote before, but it came along to me, and I carried it on a piece of paper back when I had that weakness that I had to deal with. And I used to read it every day when I'd go for a walk. That was what I could do every day, as I could walk a little bit. And I would read
like
this.
What we're doing now.
Yeah, but not even this far. I couldn't walk this far.
Anyways.
So, okay, if you persist as others have persisted, you will succeed as others have succeeded. You will see the falling away of a fear or a compulsion. It will fall away like an arrow in the midst of flight because you no longer give it the wings to fly. And I used to meditate on that for months, but that was my favorite quote of all time. And that's what got me through some of those times, is I said, you know what? Other people did do this. All I have is persistence, because I'm just going to keep getting back up and trying again and get up and do it again. I'm missing something. I'll figure it out. It'll come.
So what you can do, if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, you did that for that and other people have done this for this. So you think of what might be that thorn in the side, or that something that keeps showing up in your now space that you'd love to abolish, but for some reason it's requiring attention, and so you give it attention, but you'd like for it to just be obsolete. Hold in your space exactly that topic and think about what he'd shared that he did and what I've been sharing of what just what we're talking about. You're probably doing that already, but if you're not, I would welcome you, and I'd love to hear anybody else's similar experiences, or having applied this after learning from it, so that we can know that that you're that it's helping you, and that you're getting results.
So we come full circle where I was running today with my son. So we do mountain climbers on these hills. So we go up to the first hill, down, up to the second hill, down, up to the third hill, down, up to the fourth hill, down. Like what you did when you were in basketball, football, or hockey, whatever.
Or volleyball, or gymnastics.
Mountain climbers, yeah.
Or track.
So hold on.
Just kidding, we didn't do that.
So what I told my son today is the breakthrough I got. The persist until it comes through is when I had to push through the pain and the illness, I kept telling my mind, you never had a physical life. You don't exist in matter. You've never existed in matter. You're the reflection of God, spirit, omnipotent, perfect, can't be obstructed by any material condition. And you keep correcting your mind and turning away from the body, like Mary Baker Eddy would say, turn away from the body, turn towards God, continuously, over and over and over and over. And so now, humbly, I will tell you that it took me 6 years to perfect that and to beat my fears and get fully well. 6 years. But it was worth every minute of that investment, because the fear got less and less and less and less. And when the fear finally went, the perfect reflection of health came back that was always there the whole time. So that was the secret I learned.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Make sure you subscribe, comment below, and put that thumbs up.
Subscribe, share.
All that stuff. All right. Love you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Listen, there are two types of people in this world. People who believe they can, and people who believe they can't. I'm pretty sure you already know who I am. You see this, Mocaine. This is my secret. You know, probably you never heard of it, because you are swinging around your local coffee shop and congregate with the sheep. Bah, bah. What's wrong with you anyway? So what you waiting for? Go on mocaine.com and little Tony will ship you some little baggies, risk-free, to try out. You should be killing it. You should be living like me. But you ain't, right? You're missing this. This is the secret. This is the fuel to complete your mission. I'm putting powder all over the streets. I don't want to hear any more excuses, okay? You work for me now. I want you to be my customer. Go on mocaine.com and do the Mocaine Miracle Morning. I'm not gonna ask you again.